Well, food relates to wellness because if what you put in to your body, if the food is unhealthy, when I say unhealthy, I mean prepared in fatty, salty, you know, processed ways that causes dis-ease in your body. It causes unhealthy, your body to be unhealthy. However, when you change that and you put fresh, nutritious, lovingly grown, because I think that's part of it too, how the food is grown, that brings healing to your body as well. So, yeah, when you use fresh, healthy food to put in your body, you're going to have health.
Welcome to Bridging the Potential, intergenerational conversations that change the world. This is Cassie Funmaker, founding member of Living the Potential Network's Youth Advisory Council, with a question for you. What happens when you bridge the experience, education, and expertise of an elder with the curiosity, energy, and innate wisdom of a youth? It's simple. Everyone grows and the world changes for the better. One conversation, one connection, one collaboration at a time. Today's podcast is no different. Renee Beth connected me with Julie Diaz, who is not only a friend of mine, but the curator of Cook for Peace, a cooking revolution. I think you will enjoy our conversation about food and the relations that are strengthened through meals. My favorite part of this podcast was when Julie shared her first-hand experiences of the healing that good, wholesome food provides.
Hello, this is Renee Beth Poindexter, and I am the founder of Living the Potential Network. And I'm your host for Bridging the Potential, our podcast for today. After I wrote the book, Living the Potential, Engaging the Wisdom of Our Youth to Save the World, I set out to find ways to create spaces where people could hear what the youth have to say. And that's what this podcast is all about. I love these conversations where, after listening to a youth's dreams and concerns, we actually connect them to a mentor or an elder who has experience and wisdom to share and who is open to learning and receiving from the innovative spirit of the youth. It's reciprocal learning at its best. I always leave these conversations inspired, and I think you will too. Today I have two special guests. Our mentor, who, I don't need to refer to her as an elder, but she is a mentor and has a lot of wisdom to share, and her name is Julie Diaz. And Julie is coming to us from Clarksdale, Mississippi, and she is the founder of the Cooking Revolution and Cook for Peace. And her mission is actually to bring people together through fresh food by connecting them to their community, to the kitchen, to their health, and to the earth. So she has an inspired vision that's been coming through her for a long time. And she's in conversation today with Cassie Funmaker, who is a social activist and also environmentalist in a way in which she calls herself a creative environmentalist and also humanitarian, who has a vision of her movement, which she is calling the Native Wellness Movement. And a little secret, these two met in the community called Living the Potential. And they'll explain a little bit more of how they met and how they're working together to make a difference in the world. So we'll start with Julie Diaz. Thank you, Julie, for being with us today.
Oh, thank you, Renee Beth. My pleasure for being here.
Absolutely. Well, you have a vision. It's like, some people are creating a vision statement or mission statement, but this vision that's coming through you has been with you for a while. Could you share with us your journey to really embracing this and bringing it to the world?
Yeah, I've had a very long, circuitous route, I think, to a cooking revolution and cook for peace. Food has always been a big part in my life. It wasn't always the healthiest part, but it was a big part of my life. I started out after college, I was in medical research, and then I mean, this just makes so much sense. After I was in medical research, I started teaching preschool. So I know a lot of people do that. Uh,
What, go like what?
um, but no, I had kids, and I realized that I wanted to spend more time with my kids. So medical research was not the place. So preschool was it. Um, and when I was teaching preschool, I would, I would cook with the kids sometimes, and I enjoyed it a lot. And well, well, my son actually was my wake up call for health. Even though I
Mhm.
thought we were eating a little bit healthy, he was diagnosed with early stage fatty liver disease, and we were just shocked. He was about 10 years old, and we couldn't believe that that was his diagnosis. So we found out that with food that we could reverse it. So we changed his diet completely. We, got out sugar. They told us to eliminate sugar and fried foods and, unhealthy fats. And we did that. And in 3 to 4 months, it was gone. So that was really the big wake up call for us and for me when I started researching, and the researcher in me, and reading about it and learning about how food is processed, how food is grown. And then one of the directors of a preschool that I was teaching at gave me a challenge and said, come up with an enrichment class for the kids. And I thought, I'll teach cooking classes. So that started like a 12-year um, mission of teaching kids cooking classes. And I started introducing vegetables, and I started getting to know the farmers. We were living in San Diego at the time, so it was really easy to find fresh fruits and vegetables. And I got to know a lot of farmers and learning where my food came from, and just realizing the connection that food has to so many things, not just your health, but it's connected to the environment, it's connected to mental health, it's connected to the economy, and just so many, and it's connected to our connection to each other and our connection to nature. So all those things just got me got me going on. I started a cooking revolution because I wanted people to learn that you can cook with fresh, healthy, nutritious foods, vegetable, produce, and change how you feel and change a lot of things.
That's
And then I
amazing.
also realized that you can come together and cook together and eat together and learn more about other people. And that's when Cook for Peace started coming through. So that's, in a nutshell, I
Yeah,
think,
that's how it
my
started. Well, that's
story.
great. Well, I think it's pretty amazing of how our connection to food relates to health. And, you can tell by going to a grocery store what people are putting in their cart, And I think it was you that said to me, like if you walk around well, first of all, go to a farmer's market. It's the first place to go before you go to the grocery store. But let's say you're in the store and you walk around the perimeter, you buy the fresh fruits and vegetables and so forth. There's no need to go down the aisles for those processed foods, right? Stay
Right,
away from those
right.
things. And yet we're in a world where constantly barraged with marketing, and especially marketing towards, on the kids programs, with the kids, I'll
Hmm.
go and ask for this, and all those cereal boxes that have the pictures of what fun games are in the box. And like, I guess that's the McDonald's, go to McDonald's and get your free,
Right.
whatever it is, free game
Yeah.
this week.
Fun
So
meal
yeah, so you're up against a
or Happy
lot of,
Meal.
yeah, that's right, a happy meal. It's kind of like, really, maybe happy for the moment, but not the happy for the long term, right? So is there an example about the shift that's happened, like you talked about your son and the new diet that shifted his health? could you give an example of that, or any other example of what happened with children who learned to cook and how it impacted their family?
Oh, it was amazing to see kids. I mean, I was teaching preschoolers, so this was 3-year-olds, and a lot of people said, "How can you teach a 3-year-old to cook?" I mean, they weren't standing at the stove and stirring the pot or anything, but I would give them a kid-friendly knife, and they could cut, soft vegetables, and they'd stir and they'd measure and they'd mix and do all kinds of things. Um, but I was introducing things to them that they had never had before. There was this one little girl who she I could we cooked with mushrooms, and she was eating mushrooms, and her parents said, "I can't believe that my daughter's eating mushrooms. We've been trying to get her to eat mushrooms, since she was a year old," and she was like 3. Um, and she's eating mushrooms now. How did you do that? I said, she, cut it up and
Yeah,
put it in the
she connected with
yeah,
the food,
yeah.
right?
And
And
she
what are
tried it. She
right.
tried it. There was no pressure. I never pressured them. I just asked them to taste it. If they didn't like it, I showed them where the trash can was.
Hmm.
I said, please don't spit it out on your plate. Go to the trash can.
Right.
So,
And
and
what's
that's
the
just,
secret to mushrooms for good health? I have awareness about it. I love mushrooms. I think
well,
it's
mushrooms are they're well, they have protein, but they are called an adaptogen. And I'm not a nutritionist. I don't know all the, science behind it. If I really wanted to learn it, I could, but I know that there's a lot of properties in mushrooms that are just
right,
good
right,
for you.
right,
Um, and they promote, mental health and physical health, and they just have a lot of healing
right,
properties.
exactly. Is when I
Everyone
really
needs to.
realized,
Oh,
yeah,
and vitamin D, I forgot.
oh
They're one
yeah,
of the only, I think they are the only um, plant, because they're not a vegetable. They're the only plant that has vitamin D in
oh,
it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I do know that mushrooms, impact the immune system, and the immune
Hmm.
system, and it's like kind of like 60%, 70% of your immune system is in your gut. So when you're eating the
Hmm.
mushrooms and you're impacting your
Right.
gut, it's impacting your second brain and all of it. So
Hmm.
it's really powerful to do that. And I remember you saying something about asking a group of kids what their favorite food was, and they said French fries. And then you asked them, "Do you know where French fries come from?"
Yeah, it was, yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was similar to that. I asked them if they like potatoes, and they said no. And I said, "Do you like French fries?" And they said, "Yes." So, well, that's a potato.
Right.
Oh.
Right. And the potato comes from the earth. And,
Hmm.
so this whole idea of connecting healthy food to the earth's bounty and what the earth has to share with us make a huge difference of that connection, because, there's a lot of people that have never seen a farm, have never worked with a farmer, have never had a garden, and they're just not clear where the food comes from. So by bringing people together, you have found a way to educate and empower people through conversations that have to do with the food that has some sort of historic reference to their family, their ancestry, and so forth. I'm just curious because you've been doing this for a while. You've recently moved from the West Coast to Mississippi.
Hmm.
So, how is all of that in terms of community building, sharing diversity, connecting with people in a different part of the country? How is that enhancing your awareness for Cook for Peace?
This is actually moving to Mississippi has been pulling me for a few years now, probably 2 or 3 years. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to be here. I didn't feel like I could do it. I don't know. But the time was right. And I moved here, and I immediately started looking for farmers. And I found out that, and there are a lot of farmers here, they just don't grow food. And most people think that farmers here don't grow food. If I was asking for farmers, and they said, "Oh, you mean a gardener?" And I was just surprised at that response, because I think farmers grow food. Anyway, and and people don't think about local food. They don't really have any. I don't know, they don't see that that's a benefit or
Mhm.
a, anything that they should go out of their way for. You know, the farmers markets here in Clarksdale last for 6 weeks in the
Mhm.
summer, and that's it. And I just find that incredible. So there's a lot of education, a lot of awareness that needs to be raised, and I am finding that other people in this community who feel the same way that I do. So I have made so many connections, and I'm getting ready to start my a new venture called Clarksdale Cooks, where we're going to cook in community, cook together and eat together, and talk and learn about each
That's
other.
amazing. And for the people that you have connected with, and this is going to be a really good bridge to Cassie in a moment here, is you hear their stories, the stories and the history of this place and the ancestors and what's come before them, and a lot of that comes through the recipes, but then connecting to the historic understanding of who are we as a people. Are you noticing that? That's what you say, the food connects all these aspects that we don't really pay attention to until you create the space for it. So what are you noticing with people's stories in relationship to the food and what they've learned from their ancestors?
Yeah, food is very important to people here. Um, a lot of people aren't aware that their connection to the food, and there's a big well, there's two. There's indigenous people that were here, and that's I asked my brother who lives here if where were the indigenous people. He said we don't have any. We shipped them out in the 1800s, and I was like, oh, really? They're here. He just didn't know.
Hmm.
And then there's a big population of Black people who were brought here, you know, centuries ago, and it's actually the food culture from Africa that has created a lot of the food history here. Those are the food stories that are actually from the slaves in
Hmm.
Africa. And most people don't realize that that's where the cultural food from the South is from.
Hmm.
So
Wow. So you
yeah.
combine that with some of the music and the creative arts,
Hmm.
and you really get a
Yeah.
sense of a recognition of the peaceful, thank you to the ancestors who paved the
Hmm.
way for us to be here now. And how do we return with some gratitude, of
Yeah.
the contributions and our contribution moving forward. So I think this is where you and Cassie really connected. And I want to bring up Cassie Funmaker, Cassandra. We call her Cassie Funmaker. And Cassie, thank you so much for being here. You've been on several podcasts that you said, I want to do a podcast with Julie. Tell us a little bit about your connection with Julie. How did it come about? And how does that relate to your vision for the Native Wellness movement?
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's see. Okay, Julie and I, we first connected, was it April of 2021? I think it was April of 2021, when we were both a part of the garden experiment, Food is Life. Julie did a wonderful job facilitating that, and I was on the youth board, talking about my projects and my stories and all that stuff relating to food. And we then reconnected, sort of taking the Trusting the Seeds course. We were both in the same cohort. She took it with her son, and it was really interesting to see the way that they connected on such a deep, intimate level, because that's what Trusting the Seeds is, you know? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
from there, Julie has been my facilitator throughout all of the other um, you living the potential courses, and we've gotten to know each other pretty well, I'd say. I
Yeah.
think we have a lot of common interests, especially when it comes to food wellness, dietary wellness, um, love, peace, all that stuff. And Julie, I just love talking to you. I'm excited to talk to you about all that stuff. So I wanted to start by asking, how do you think food relates to wellness?
If you liked what you heard and want to listen to the rest of this incredible conversation, you can do so by visiting livingthepotential.com/membership and create a completely and forever free account with us. And if you're interested, check out the first 2 chapters of Renee Beth's book, Living the Potential, Engaging the Wisdom of Our Youth to Save the World, which you can also find at livingthepotential.com/book. Thank you so much for listening. Till next time.